Today in Rookie Rory we start our journey to not just become the best club in Europe here with Benfica, because it's time now to try and be the best team in the world at the Club World Cup. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 97 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Benfica. I hope you're doing well and come up day. Going to make our way through the group stage of the Club World Cup, which to be fair should be relatively kind to us considering that we've got Santos Laguna from Mexico, Jeonbuk Hyundai from South Korea, and Bahia from Brazil, albeit Brazilian teams did do quite well in the real life version of this tournament. Also, a little bit too of a transfer update when we need to, considering that the window isn't quite open yet, but we can get rid of players and sign them if we have the money. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, but it comes off the back of our first Champions League final that we got through yesterday. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. And we are the champions of Europe off the back of that 2-0 win in the final over Real Madrid, thanks to a Piskunov double and a penalty save from Lunin on a Kylian Mbappe effort. So the champions of Europe here in our first season with Benfica. Arguably, that could have been it for the save, but we still haven't won a proper top 5 league title here. So I think we need to do that before we wrap things up. And also, the financial situation here at the club actually still does need quite a bit of work. We're £78 million in debt, which definitely is not as bad as it was before that Champions League final win, but still, there's a bit of work to do. And unfortunately, in-game the Club World Cup isn't quite as lucrative as it is in real life, at least in terms of that most recent one that did just take place. The only money that you actually get here in terms of prize money in the save is once you make your way through to the actual final. Even then, you only get £4 million. So that definitely needs a bit of an update on FM26 if we actually get FM26, but hopefully can go quite deep in this tournament, at least get some money by making our way to the final of this competition. We definitely should be making our way safely through this group stage, considering the opposition in our group. Santos Laguna is one of the better teams based on their league position, albeit that's just been updated maybe the second part of the season there over in Liga BBVA, because I'm pretty sure earlier they were on top. Let's just check here what did happen in the previous season here over in Mexico, and if we look at that, they weren't actually that good. For some reason, I thought they did a lot better there in Mexico. They only finished 13th, so this definitely should be a nice first up game for us here. And also, if we check out the other teams in our group, because hopefully can bounce through these games relatively quickly in today's episode. I think second up, we've got Jeonbuk Hyundai. Those guys actually one of the better teams over in Korea, albeit they have not been in good form of late, losing 2 of their last 3 games and a draw there against, let's check out what that team is called, Gimshin Sangmu, and I don't think those guys are too much top there mid-table. So yeah, interesting there, one of the better teams in Korea, but surely the champions of Europe can get past those guys. And Bahia, being from Brazil, they could be tricky, but they are the worst team in Brazil this season. So really, it's a quite nice group for us here that we've got at the Club World Cup. But before we get stuck in to this first game where we do take on Santos Laguna, there's been one transfer which has gone through. That's the reason our transfer budget has now gone up just a little bit to 17.5 million. The wage budget there is quite big, but of course, we've still got Nianzou and Diarra to come in on those free transfers that we secured back around January, so that will wipe out a fair chunk of that wage budget. But one player who is going to be leaving the club during the course of this Club World Cup, he's not actually in the squad for this first game, but we can play him despite the fact he's going to leave. Also the case with Nehim Perez, whose contract is about to expire. But Max Johnston, who wasn't registered for the Champions League last season, so really this was one where we could just get a bit of extra money in. He's going to make his way to Al Ahly over in Saudi Arabia for a fee of 12.5 million. So Max Johnston, who was our third choice right back last season, didn't use him all that much, and to be fair, could just call someone up from our under-19s if we need to. Next season, he's on his way to Saudi Arabia, so that bumps up our transfer budget a little bit. We'll see what else we can do, because now we can actually fit some players in once we sell some more into our Champions League squad, albeit with Diarra. We do need to potentially get rid of a midfielder to fit him in, because with Perez leaving, Nianzou fills that hole, but we might have an extra midfielder with Diarra coming in, so maybe need to sell one extra midfielder here at Benfica going to the start of next season. But thankfully, we've got no injury concerns here for this Club World Cup currently. The only slight issue we have is our squad apparently is still on an end of season break. I can schedule training, we just can't actually do it, so I'm not too sure if we can rest players. It feels like an actual FIFA World Cup, so I suppose FM has got that part kind of right, just a bit annoying that our players still think they're on a holiday during the Club World Cup. But to be fair with the group that we're in here with this Benfica team, maybe it will be a little bit of a holiday there. You can see Group D2. Porto are somehow here. Let's hope they get absolutely freshed in that group. They've actually just got rid of their manager and are looking for a new one. So not too sure how those guys will go here at this Club World Cup. Our big rivals in the end only finishing 4th, of course, in Liga Portugal in this past season. So we'll have Europa League football to deal with in Europe next time around, which to be fair is a competition that they probably should be going quite deep in. But it's our best 11 here, the same team that picked up that 2-0 win over Real Madrid in the Champions League final, surely against a team like Santos Laguna, who in the end we found out are only a bit of a mid-table team over there in Mexico. This should be a pretty good start for us here at this tournament. Hopefully we might be able to wrap up qualification through these first 2 games, and that Bahia one might not be super important. Could potentially just show you guys the highlights of that one and try and keep this episode short, but hopefully these games will be nice and quick if we have to play all 3 and we can pick up some comfy wins. Definitely expecting to go very deep in this competition as the champions of Europe. We didn't actually qualify for this tournament with a Champions League when we qualified for the next Club World Cup. With that, I think we got here just like in real life by being one of the better teams in our league outside the top 5, and with the whole UEFA numbers thing from different leagues, how it worked out in real life. Of course, both Benfica and Porto were just at the Club World Cup in real life, so I think that's what's happened here. But next time around, we're going to go in as one of the past couple of Champions League winners. But we're on the ball here early from our highlights. Some nice short passing. Unfortunately, can't quite pick out there. I think that would have been Calafitoglu down our left-hand side, and Robinson does get on the ball here for Santos Laguna. Pumps this one deep. Silva on that standard defensive line, which works so well for us here with this Benfica team, is able to step back and control that nicely. Now Nadi into Castillejo, out to Piskunov, an absolute fire late on in our season, including that double in that Champions League final. We float a ball far post there for Taya, for Calafitoglu. It's a wonderful header across the face of goal. It beats Robertson and goes into that bottom right corner. So a good start here inside 10 minutes. We take a 1-0 lead over a mid-table Mexican team, which to be fair, you probably expect from the European champions, but nice work there from Calafitoglu. He rises like a Turkish salmon and makes it 1-0 just shy of the 6-minute mark. So a good start here from the European champions. As I said yesterday, quite a bit sooner than I expected in the save, even with that big old transfer budget that we did have here last season. We'll be interested to see how much interest there is in our players from some big clubs during the course of the off-season. Nearly though, 1-all Santos Laguna go very close from that highlighter header, which comes off the woodwork, and then we clear that one off the line from a resulting shot. So to be fair, Santos here, giving us a little bit to think about. They're going to try and go here in the middle of the box, but thankfully we can head that one away. Noonan, who's a half-decent Irish striker who somehow made his way to Mexico, is in the Santos Laguna team, but they go quite close there to making things 1-all. But apart from those couple of highlights, we've looked quite good. We actually praised there and cut at a potential free kick there in our favour, but so far it's going okay. Certainly could be room for improvement here with these champions of Europe, but obviously our players still think that they're on holiday. To be fair, match sharpness wise, not too bad, because it's only come a couple of weeks off the back of that Champions League final, but that is a solid first half. Actually, XG-wise, that big chance there to Santos Laguna, which came off the woodwork, does mean that they're beating us in that regard, but apart from that, they've not been up to too much. Most of our players out there are in pretty good shape and doing okay, so no need yet to make any subs. Obviously, some squad rotation in this Club World Cup, especially if we can't rest our players, could be quite useful. Maybe if we get to that Bahia game and are looking pretty good for qualification, we can then maybe make some changes for that game, or even in the between game where we take on Jeonbuk, seeing as that's only in a couple of days' time. Not too sure if our players will be fully freshened up by then, but we've got a first highlight here in the second half, just past the hour mark, and it's a goal kick playing things short here. Now Kawamori goes back there to Robert Renan, out to Forte. We're just going to see actually if we stick with Rui Silva or do go with the partnership of Renan alongside Tanguy Nyanzu. Decent chance there, albeit from a fair way out, and unfortunately put that one over the bar. Some good work there down our right-hand side, I'm pretty sure, from Eden Husik. Some nice dribbly work from him, but now that's a foul from a player in Moreno who was already on a yellow card, and he has actually got a second, so that's a red card now for Santos Laguna. Surely now we can afford to take some key players off here, and that should mean that we're going to pick up a win in this first game, even though we've been a little bit scratchy just that early one there we did get through Kalafatoğlu. So we'll take off here a couple of our big names. De Rosa can come on there for Piskunov, also Trincao for Kalamori, and Fabio Renato for Emmanuel Nardi. That does mean, though, that the corner, it does get cut out, but only a few minutes later, time for us here to make our last couple of subs. He can come on there for Fortea, and Nicolas Martinez for Kalafatoğlu, the goal scorer, seeing as both those players have just dropped down to red hearts. Just like that, that's all our subs used there in the matter of only a couple of minutes in game. Let's see, hopefully, if we can score a cushion goal. Otherwise, honestly, this first game at the Club World Cup, not super impressive from us. We might even go here and just start a time waste just to make sure that these guys don't equalise somehow with only 10 men on the field. We won't quite go to full-backs on support or anything like that, because surely we'll be fine against just 10 men from a mid-table Mexican team. And now there's a corner we try and go far post. Unfortunately, can't pick out Rui Silva, because Robinson, who's at a decent game, does come out and claim that one. We'll boot this one deep, but thankfully that standard defensive line showing itself again. We drop back nicely and control the ball under no pressure. And now try and get something going here down our right-hand side. Priori starts to make his way forward. Nice ball there from Eden Husik, who picks out De Rosa, who actually stayed on side. That one a little bit too good to be true. That's now his 20th goal of the season, because of course this still counts in the previous season, because there's not been much of a break yet. But lovely first time ball there from Eden Husik, and De Rosa, he comes off the bench and puts that one away. So currently very strong with our striker stocks here at Benfica. And we finally grab a cushion goal, and now a chance for us here from set piece. Rui Silva can't quite get that one on target. Thankfully, his lack of accuracy won't prove too costly in this game with this 2-0 lead. Now we go looking there for Luiz at the near post a few minutes later. Can't quite find him, but all of a sudden, we're looking a bit more threatening ever since we did go more disciplined and lower our tempo, which is interesting. Nice chance there for Trincao, but Robinson comes up with a decent save. And oh dear, we've got an injury deep into our first game. Castillejo will be forced from the field. I think here, let's give it a try Trincao a little bit further back, but surely it won't make an impact in this game. But that could mean that Castillejo is missing for the remainder of this Club World Cup. That's now something that we're probably going to have to come back for before the next game we play. For some reason, that game goes into 99 minutes, which was not scheduled. One of their players also picks up an injury, so a bit of damage there in injury time of that game, but thankfully off there to a good start. We pick up a 2-0 win. Certainly not quite as impressive as you might think, especially with the red card. It was only 1-0 before then, but for now, we go top of the group. Next up, we've got Jeonbuk Hyundai from South Korea. And we are back a few days later here, about to take on Jeonbuk Hyundai from South Korea in a top of the group clash, because those guys picked up a 3-1 win over Bahia, who then came out and beat Santos Laguna. Actually, that opening performance, not that great from us, considering that Santos Laguna look like they might be the worst team in this group. But it's the top of the group clash for us here. Second up at the Club World Cup. Hopefully can pick up a win. I'm not too sure if that means we'd actually be guaranteed to go through, but surely it would put us right on the verge, and we can pick up something against Bahia in that final game if they can't beat Jeonbuk, and we can beat these guys here. Unfortunately, suffered an injury though in that first game at the Club World Cup, and some sprained ankle ligaments there to Castillejo, out for 11 days to 4 weeks. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that means that's his tournament over. So that's our star central midfielder there, who is gone for the remainder of this tournament. So it does mean that we're going to have to put Monsalvo in there for this upcoming game. Also, Porto are off to an absolutely dreadful start. Their new manager won't be happy. They've lost their first 2 games of this tournament to Urawa Red Diamonds and Club America. So yeah, they're a bit cooked there. Porto, things you love to see as a Benfica fan. So not too sure if they'll actually be that good in the Europa League this upcoming season. So far, a pretty enjoyable hate watch on those guys here at this Club World Cup. But a couple of changes. Obviously, Monsalvo comes in for the injured Castillejo, and also Kalafatoğlu on a heavy workload. So Martinez will get a run there at left wing. But apart from that, exactly the same team that we put out for the first game. Thankfully, I was able to find a way to rest our players through the squad screen. So actually, not too bad that they still think they're on holiday. We have been able to get them back to full fitness, just apart from Kalafatoğlu on that heavy workload, which is a little bit of a surprise off the back of one game in about the last 3 weeks in the safes. Not too sure what he was doing on his holiday. Maybe a bit of beach work there from the Turkish salmon. Rose like one in that first game to score the opening goal. But heroes Jeonbuk, they picked up a win in that first game here at this Club World Cup. Of course, one of the stronger teams based on league position in this group alongside us, albeit that is from the South Korean League. But so far, they're looking quite decent. and their goal differential a fair bit better too than Bahia. So those guys only probably have to get past Santos Laguna in the final game to make sure that they'll make their way through to the knockouts of this Club World Cup. But it takes a wee while here for the first highlight of this game. It's a corner in our favour. They're trying to pick out Rui Silva at the near post. We do, but again, his header is not quite on target. Tanguy Nyanzu should be quite dangerous from those when he gets to the club. As I said earlier, maybe Renan and Nyanzu are going to be the better pairing next season, albeit dropping Silva off the back of his work this past one would be a little bit harsh as well. So not too sure what we're going to do there with the addition of Tanguy Nyanzu. But off the back there of a set piece to Jeonbuk, we try and do something on the counter attack, but a good save there from the goalkeeper. It does mean another chance for us here from set piece. Martinez will whip this one into the mixer, and Piskunov this time will try and get up and put that one home, but can't quite jump high enough there. Can the Ukrainian salmon in our team, and it's still 0-all. Got a couple of Ukrainians, seeing as Lunen's also won, but Piskunov a bit further forward. I think he might be a bit more of the salmon in our ranks. Unfortunately, takes the free kick there, and we can't quite get it there past Park Sung-ho, who was in goal there for Jeonbuk. They pumped this one deep. They're certainly attacking our defensive line a little bit more than Santos Laguna looked like they were, and now Husik. Some wonderful work from him there down our right-hand side. We'll pick out Piskunov, who heads it home for his 32nd goal of this season, but that one set up just like the last goal in that previous game by Eden Husik. Looked like here he was about to get double teamed. He said no thanks to that. Floats this one far post for some reason. Park Sung-ho this time doesn't come out and claim it, and Piskunov can head that one home. To be fair, not too sure if this team will be that good in the air, being from South Korea, but let's see here how they get on. Thankfully, nice work that time, I think, from Fortea to head that one away. So a chance for us here on the counter attack. Some lovely quick build-up play. Monsalvo, a floated ball over the top there. Piskunov takes it round their goalkeeper and makes it 2-0. So after it took us there a little while to score that first goal, this one probably our best one so far at this tournament. Some lovely build-up play there on the counter attack, and Piskunov, nice touch there to get around Park Sung-ho, and he makes it 2-0. So currently looking pretty good, as you'd expect from the European champions, to make our way through to the knockouts here of this Club World Cup. And definitely now, because Rui Silva will get his first goal from a corner. It's taken a game on a bit here of this tournament and makes it 3-0. So Rui Silva is still amongst the goals here from our set pieces. That definitely will help out his chances of keeping that spot, and maybe it's Silva alongside Nyanzu here next season, seeing as he's been so good since he's come to the club. But Nyanzu does look like he might be a bit better in the air than someone like Rui Silva. So not too sure what we do going to the start of next season once he does join up with us here at Benfica. But that is a very good first half, a lot better than what we put out in that first game. So while we're here, we'll take off some players here on some slightly deep yellow hearts at the end of that first half. So we're going to change here both our wingbacks and also Matsoso for Husik. Great work there to set up that first goal, but we'll give him rest here while we can. Matsoso can get some game time here off the back of the little holiday that he's had off the back of our Champions League win. But now here is Jeonbuk Hyundai on the attack early in the second half, but thankfully that header does go quite safely over the woodwork so far. They've not been up too much, as you expect, considering that we're the European champions. With this Benfica team, should restart a counter on that, seeing as I've said it so many times, that could be the competition in the comments for today's episode. But looking like going to make our way through this group quite safely. Don't want to do too many transfers yet, because if we sell players, then they won't be available for the remainder of the Club World Cup. I'm pretty sure when Nyanzu and Diarra get here, they won't be able to be registered either, so it could be a little bit of a funny squad once the transfer window it does open. But here is Jeonbuk Hyundai, who do get on the attack. A little bit messy from our defence, and they put a ball there into the mixer and actually beat Luna. So Jeonbuk here have grabbed a goal back, and to be fair, so far have looked quite good here in the second half of this game. We've been a little bit poor off the back of those subs that we made. Not too sure there what Robert Renan's doing with that header away. There were lots of options there in the middle of the field. He just put it out there trying to get into touch. And yeah, that was a poor option, because Jeonbuk there, they had numbers out on the wings and could square that one for Jeong, who makes it 3-1. So unfortunately, do concede here in this game. So Jeonbuk currently definitely looking like the second best team in this group. Now we're going to take off here Florentino Louis for Devia, and also we'll bring on Trinka for Kawamori. Those will be our last couple of subs here, just looking after the players who might be about to drop down to red hearts. But again here, it's Jeonbuk on the attack. A shot there on the volley, but thankfully get a block on that one and can somewhat clear our lines. But Jeonbuk here have been a little bit all over us in the second half of this game. Those subs, for some reason, seem to have made us a little bit complacent here in this game, but thankfully win that ball back there from the goal kick. We're now 25 minutes in to the second half, and we've done pretty much nothing in terms of our attack. So fingers crossed there, we don't try and bowl this game and pretend it's a cup game back in Portugal now, Matt. So some good footwork from him there. We'll pick out Martinez down that left-hand side, back in there from Monsalvo, but puts that one just over the bar, so can't quite get out to our 3-goal lead again. It's still only 3-1. Of course, made all our subs, so can't change anything else. As I said before, maybe going to put our rotation for the last game in this group, but surely we'll be pretty safe to go through as long as Jeonbuk, they do get the job done, and we make sure that Bahia don't actually beat us. But now making our way the last 5 or so minutes of this game, just like in that previous one, we'll time waste a little bit, especially because Jeonbuk actually looking a bit more threatening than Santos Laguna did in that previous game. But thankfully, we've still got a 2-goal lead now. Free kick here. We do get the ball back here. Martinez plays it back in there for Rui Silva. A wonderful curving effort from the centre-back, but unfortunately, he won't pick up a double. It goes down as an own goal. So in the end, actually going to beat these guys quite comprehensively, even though they've offered a bit more in attack than Santos Laguna did in that first game. But thankfully, that big first half we had is going to prove a difference maker here in the second game at the Club World Cup, albeit now a late set piece here for Jeonbuk, thankfully can head that one away. Matt Soso will claim the ball for us here. Might be a good chance to get something going on the counter-attack. Thankfully, Martinez actually can see what we're trying to do there and picks up that ball. Float this one there for Trincao, who heads it home and makes it 5-1, which honestly is a pretty harsh scoreline here for Jeonbuk. It actually might mean that the goal differential not as good as it could have been. So that might open things up here for the second spot in this group. But Martinez finally reacted to that ball that Matsoso played for him. Floats this one far post, as I said earlier. Not too sure how good the South Korean team will be in the air. And thankfully, we've made the most of it now on a couple of occasions, and we pick up a 5-1 win. Not too sure if it guarantees that we'll be going through yet, because a couple of teams on 3 points are technically they could overtake us, but really, with the strength of this Benfica team, you'd expect that we should at least get a draw out of that last game where we take on Bahia. Indeed, it's not quite locked in yet, so we do actually need to pick up something against Bahia to make sure that we do top this group. That might be, though, with a bit of a rotation off the back of that 5-1 win over Jeonbuk. And we are back for this final game here of the group stage at the Club World Cup, taking on the worst team in Brazil this season in Bahia. If we beat these guys, then Jeonbuk Hyundai just need 1 point from the clash with Santos Laguna, and they'll also go through, which I think will be fair, even though that scoreline did blow out quite a bit in that previous game. They definitely threatened us quite early in the second half. And for this game as well, we are going with a full rotation. Our first team are on heavy workload, so hopefully this will pay off going in to whoever we get in the second round before I think it's then the quarterfinals. And if we get through that episode, we'll come back for one more here at this Club World Cup semis and the final, which hopefully we'll make our way through to, so we can get paid, because otherwise not too sure how useful this whole Club World Cup is. So definitely a bit outdated here in FM24 for all the money that clubs were getting in real life. But let's see here how the full rotation does get on. Let's hope they can do a decent job here and make sure we at least pick up something and go through top of this group. Renato will float this ball far post, can't quite pick out there to Rosa, and actually might be a chance now here for Bahia on the counter-attack, but thankfully Devia does quite well and tracks back nicely to get us back here on the attack net. So now sizes up his man there down that right-hand side, loose touch, but somehow a ball there gets played into the middle, but a good save there from the Bahia goalkeeper. So still nil all, but early stages here are on the front foot, as you'd expect from the European champions. That count now probably getting up into double figures, but Matsoso is back on the ball here, plays this across the Devia. Thankfully, that ball does just get to him. Some nice short passing here on the edge of the box, and Francisco Trincao will put it away in the top left corner. Actually, you have to see if we keep him here this season. He's in the final year of his contract. Quite useful to keep around, obviously, being homegrown nation. But if he doesn't want to renew his contract, maybe that's someone that we could look to sell. But nice work there from him off the ball from Hamali, and puts it away in that left corner. Hamali is actually in there, even though he's our third choice DM. Obviously, with the injury to Castillejo, we're going to try Devia in that centre mid role to try and keep our squad fresh. That's the reason that Devia is playing a little bit out of position. But now here it's Bahia, who are on the attack. They get a decent chance there through Nestor. Thankfully, that one gets blocked, and then we can just clear our lines to hold on here to our 1-0 lead. But so far, it's been decent. Bahia looking a little bit threatening when they are on the ball, but we have got a 1-0 lead. Obviously, the Brazilian teams, probably the other strongest league outside the European ones here at this Club World Cup. But again, can't quite keep the ball there as we try and get something going on the edge of our box. But Devia there with a good interception. Nice ball out there to Matsoso. Squares it for DeRosa. And that one, I think, might have come off the woodwork. And we can't quite score. So big chance there. We don't take it. And we're still only 1-0 up, just shy of a half hour through this final game in the group stage of the Club World Cup. Porto, if you're wondering, have actually lost all their games here at this tournament. They were beaten 3-1 by Barca in their final group stage game, but we definitely should be going through now because Matsoso puts that one away off the ball from Ronaldo and makes it 2-0. So thankfully, got our cushion goal here relatively early into this final group stage game of this Club World Cup. And actually looking for Marinez there at the far post, but Ronaldo does get on the ball. Devia was sizing up a shot there, but Matsoso is able to put that one away just inside of that near post, and Souza can't quite react in time there for Bahia, so we make it 2-0. Stats-wise, not looking too bad, but Bahia, when they've got the ball, are looking somewhat threatening. And Nestor here from a free kick does go very close, and some top work there from Talhaldas, our homegrown club goalkeeper. He makes a triple save. That really should have been 2-1, but it's still 2-0, so great work there from our goalkeeper. To be fair, only gone up about 0.1, despite making 3 good saves there from that free kick. So great work there from our backup goalkeeper. Really, it should be 2-1, but thankfully he steps up and we hold on to a 2-0 lead. So looking like it should be us going through in top spot. And based on what we've seen on the other two teams so far in this group, you'd probably think that Jeonbuk should get something off Santos Laguna and make their way through in that second spot up the South Koreans. But DeRosa here actually not going too well early in the second half of Marinez, dropping down to a little bit of a deep yellow hat as well. Actually, quite a few of our players here in this team who are looking a little bit tight, albeit now we might get a chance here from a penalty because pushed in back there was Marinez, and indeed that does get awarded. It looked pretty clear cut, and indeed VAR agrees. Not too sure who's taking the penalties here, and our backup team, it's Trincao, who's looking for a double, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way there in Souza, and picks up his 10th for the season. So Trincao here getting his stats padded a little bit at this Club World Cup. That makes it 3-0. Going to make our way very safely through this group, which to be fair was expected. And in the end, it's going to be job done here for us with this Benfica team. We'll be interested to see who we do get in the second round. Not too sure if it's from that Porto group that they really struggled in. Now, a couple of players do drop down to red hearts. Now, Trincao, don't really want to take him off on a hat-trick. So we'll bring on Calafitoglu there for Marinez, even though he's on a little bit of a heavy workload, despite only playing in that first game. But they'll be our only sub for now, seeing as Trincao does sit on a hat-trick. But now, there is a throw-in here for Bahia, and Miguel Hez will bring down Nestor. So unfortunately, a potential chance for them here to make their way back into this game. It's pretty clear-cut, just like down the other end, and it is a penalty. Now, let's see here what happens. Can Talhaldas come up again here with a big save? And indeed he can. He's having a standout game here as our homegrown club goalkeeper. That definitely gets his rating up to where it should have been off the back of that triple save in the first half. Now a corner, which thankfully we do deal with the danger from, but that area there from Miguel Hez does not prove costly, and we keep our 3-0 lead. And now a few more players drop down to red hearts. We'll bring on here Nadi for Ronaldo, and also Peretti dropping down as well, a little bit of a deep yellow heart. So going to bring on here both of our first choice wingbacks, and also we might here take off Franco Devia on a little bit of a deep yellow heart, but this time for Bruno Vitorino, who usually is third choice in that shadow striker role, but don't really want to take off Trincao sitting on that hat-trick. So hopefully he can do a decent job for us here in a position which is a little bit unnatural. Tries to curve that one into the top right corner from a free kick, but unfortunately just can't quite get that one on target. But looking pretty good here to pick up a can't-be winner in all 3 games in the group stage of this Club World Cup. It just depends if Jeonbuk are doing enough to make their way through as the second place team from this group. I'm not too sure what group we get drawn against here in the latter stages of this tournament to start things off, but that's things done for the group stage of this Club World Cup. Some lovely work in that game from Talhaldas in goal. Not too sure if he got man of the match, seeing as Trincao did pick up a double, but that is a pretty solid win considering that we put out a full rotation, albeit this team were the worst in Brazil in this current league season. So really about what you'd expect here from the European champions going forward. And here's the other result from the other game in the group, and thankfully we help out Jeonbuk. They pick up a draw, so they're going through alongside us here from this group at the Club World Cup. We'll come back shortly and see who will come back for and take on tomorrow in the second round, and hopefully as well in the quarterfinals. So we cruised through that group there at the Club World Cup, and then here are the results from all the other groups so far, and then we actually got our draw ready for the second round, so don't need to wait around too much for the remainder of these groups to be complete. But there's Group A and B, which we don't care about too much because we only need to worry about Group D for the knockouts. So in the Porto getting knocked out and not picking up a single point, that's quite handy, as well as funny seeing as they did beat us in one game during the course of this past season. But going down further, here's what's going on currently in the other groups here at this Club World Cup. Christchurch United sit third in their group, which is quite decent there for a team from New Zealand, albeit they'll still actually take on a Mexican team, so that might change quite quickly on that final match day. But here is the situation in all the other groups. We've already got our draw through for the second round of this competition. We'll come back tomorrow and take on Club America, so we'll see how we get on there against the team, which, as we saw earlier, a fair bit better than Santos Laguna based on their finishing position in the league last season. They beat Porto Nurara Red Diamonds and did lose to Barcelona. So to be fair, that's some pretty solid form, but hopefully can get past those guys and then see who we do get in the quarterfinals. Not too sure if that's been drawn yet. In fact, yes it has. We'll take on the winner of Bayer Leverkusen or Fluminense. So I dare say things get a bit serious once we make our way through to the quarterfinals of this Club World Cup. And also, if any more transfers they do go through, we'll update you guys. But so far, just that deal of the departure of Max Johnston. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, a little bit of a quick fire run through there during the group stages of that Club World Cup. If you did, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Until tomorrow, we hopefully can make our way through Club America in the second round and one of Bahia or Fluminense in the quarterfinals as well. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.